crying, wailing, like, God, help me, please. I just started calling out to him like, God, please help me. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to turn to. Like, I don't know. Help me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the P.U.F.F Project. This is the first episode of my podcast. Virtual screens. Welcome to the P.U.F.F Project. P.U.F.F standing for Praying Under a Firm Foundation. This is a Christian-based podcast for us young Christians who are navigating through life while following Christ. Also, this is as real as it's going to get while also keeping God in it. And this is the first episode, and I just decided to start the first episode with telling a little bit about myself, telling my story on how I returned back to Jesus. And, you know, y'all, I'm a little nervous. This is the first episode. This is like really my first time actually sitting down and talking long-winded in front of a camera. I know I do my videos on TikTok and Instagram, but this is like the first time I'm actually being long-winded. So I do have my iPad to write down I wrote down, a couple points so I could stay on track. I don't stray. Just know the podcast is going to get better as we go. The first episode, I know my setting is not exactly like podcasty, but this, like I said, this is as real as it's going to get while keeping Christ in it. I'm just here to spread the gospel. I'm just here to share my experiences as a young Christian, especially with dealing with our generation. The last year, I'm the last year of millennials or whatever. So especially dealing with my generation of millennials and the Gen Zs, and I don't know what come after the Gen Zs. Is it Alpha? I don't know what come after the Gen Zs, but them too. Like, I'm trying to reach a variety of people, I just pray, God, this message get to the right person. I pray that my story reach the right hearts, that it, I'm sorry if I say and like a lot. Like I said, I have a lot to work on with doing a podcast and with public speaking. So I'm a work in progress. But like I said, we're here to navigate through life together while following Christ. So I'm growing with y'all. We growing together. Basically, the P.U.F.F Project is a organization I started based on humanitarianism. Claps for me because I said that right, y'all. I'm so country. I'm Southern or whatever. I live in New York, but I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm very Southern, very much accent, very much. So, word, I be tripping on my words sometimes. And it took me the longest to learn how to say humanitarianism. And I still have to say it a little slow to get the correct pronunciation of it. But yeah, it's a organization I started based on humanitarianism, that's volunteering, giving back, anything, helping the youth. I also want to spread mental health awareness because I'm going to get into that when I tell y'all a little bit more about myself, but it is based around helping the youth with mental health awareness, because I know a lot of youth suffer from mental health and they're scared to speak out. I was one of those young people that was like that. So I just wanted to be that voice for them, to let them know, it's okay to not be okay. Like, we all suffer with anxiety. We all suffer with depression, and it's the most happiest people that you wouldn't even expect that's suffering with it. But it's more common than you think. So I also provide resources to the youth when it comes to dealing with mental health, basically guiding them on how to get through it, how to work through it, and how to manage it. And also, we have a podcast. We're starting a podcast. That's a P.U.F.F Project. Like I said, P.U.F.F stands for Praying Under a Firm Foundation. That's basically a little bit about the P.U.F.F Project. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. A new episode will be posted. We also have a social media, the P.U.F.F Project. You can also follow us on Instagram. TikTok coming soon, not just yet. But you can also follow my personal Instagrams. It's divinelyko on all platforms. That's divinelyko on all platforms. Let me tell y'all a little bit about myself. So my name is Nikosha Sholes. You can call me Cole, you can call me Coco, but I've been really trying to go by the name I was given at birth, trying to drop all these alias names because I have developed quite a few over the years. Like I do have a lot of people that know me by a lot of different names. But my name is Nikosha Sholes. I would actually prefer to go by my name now, Nikosha Sholes. I'm 28. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I live in Buffalo, New York. A little bit about my church background. My dad is actually a pastor. Yeah. So I've been in church my whole life. So I knew of God, but I didn't know God. That's only going to hit a few. That's only going to hit a few. I knew of God. Don't get me wrong. I knew the word. I knew the difference between right and wrong, but I was very rebellious. Very rebellious. Like living on my own terms. I don't care. Can't tell me nothing. Very rebellious. Very of the world. Yeah, I grew up in church, but I wasn't of church. If you get what I mean, like y'all, I've come a long way. Let's just say that my dad's a pastor, but I didn't really grow up with my dad. I grew up in a single parent home in Baton Rouge. My dad is across the river or whatever. Only people from Baton Rouge gonna know what I'm saying when I say cross the river. I wouldn't say my dad was absent out of my life because at a point in time he was in my life. I mainly was raised by my mom though. My mom is really who taught me to be the person that I am today. Beautiful woman, great heart. Even with my mom, we went to church a lot. It was a Baptist church. So like I say, I knew of God, but I didn't know God. Let me take a deep breath. And let me slow down my words because I really do feel like I'm talking a little fast and I'm trying to get through the video because I am nervous when I'm really trying to keep this as real as possible because this is the first episode. I could get into the backstory of my whole life. You'll learn more about me as my videos, as my podcast goes on. You'll learn a lot more about me, but this is mainly of how I returned back to Jesus. I'm going to say around like 2022, I was 26. I did decide to get saved that year, but it wasn't the type of save that I am now. I definitely was living a double life. It was like I was parading to be the perfect church daughter and stuff like that while also still doing worldly things behind my parents' back. I was definitely doing a lot of worldly things. I was still having sex before marriage. I was still going out getting drunk. I was still doing drugs. Like I was still very much living of the world. So I strayed away a lot. In those moments I strayed away, I never felt fulfilled. I I've always felt empty. I've always felt like I was just surviving and I was just going through life. I never felt truly filled with God's love. So it's like I always would convert back to my old ways anytime like something get hard. And I have a problem with tending to turn to drugs, to turn to sex when I'm going through a hard time. But this time, what brought me back to God, honestly, grief. Grief and depression is what brought me back to the arms of Jesus. And I'm going to get into that, where the grief started and the depression. This is like December 2025. I suffered from a miscarriage. And I had a miscarriage before that, but that's we could talk about that on another episode. That was in 2023. That could be talked about on another episode. I did, in fact, have a miscarriage before that, but that one did not affect me as much as this one did. I actually was with the father at the time of the miscarriage. We were in a relationship at the pregnancy and stuff like that. But I think the reason this one affected me as much as it did, it wasn't because of like I was with the father or like we were in love or anything like that. It was the simple fact like I actually seen the heartbeat of this baby, and it was a very strong, healthy heartbeat. And not even 24 hours later, I was being told that I was losing it. That was hard. It was really hard. Like, I already was going through a lot during the pregnancy because I was so far away from my family. I'm states away from my family, like thousands of miles away from my family. So it was like all I really had was my boyfriend. And it was really hard because, this is new to him. This relationship is new to me. So it's like we really didn't know how to navigate truly, properly. And this video is not about my relationship, so don't think I'm about to go into depth about my relationship and how I broke up. This is strictly about how I returned back to Jesus. So I had the miscarriage. After the miscarriage, I was pretty much alone. Like, I had nobody. My boyfriend was basically distancing himself from me. Actually, the weekend of my miscarriage, I actually laid in the bed for 2 days by myself in pain, sobbing, sad. Y'all, if I cry, I'm so sorry. If I cry, I'm so sorry. Not to quote myself again. Like I said, this is as real as it's going to get. But I was pretty much left alone. I had nobody. I had no emotional support. Like, truly, my family did not check up on me like that. I think it's because too, like, everybody, I've always been known as the strong person in my family. So it's like people tend to forget that I go through stuff too. So it's like I be there for everybody, but when it comes to me needing someone to be there for me, I don't have it. I don't have it. So I was very much alone. I had nobody. I had no one to talk to. I had no one to confide in. My relationship was going downhill because, like I said, it was like after I miscarriage, he started distancing himself from me. It was like he was trying to look for out of the relationship. That's how I felt. I'm not saying that's what happened because it's not, but that's how I was feeling. My mental health started depleting because for a while I'm sorry. For a while I tried to pretend like I was okay. I tried to, avoid the feelings, say that, God got me. I basically was like suppressing my grief, and it started taking a toll on my mental health. I'm sorry. It started taking a toll on my mental health. My mental health started depleting because it was like I wasn't trying to face the problem. I wasn't trying to face the problems. I was like really pretending to be okay when I wasn't. And it was like I was trying to hold on to God got me, but I really started questioning him, like, why? I felt like God had turned his back on me. I definitely felt like he turned his back on me. I definitely felt like my prayers were not being answered. I stopped praying. I stopped going to church because I was just like, what was the point? I felt like God saw how happy I was that I was finally about to be a mom, and he stripped me of that. Just stripped me of it. That, I'm telling y'all how I felt in this moment. I felt like he just stripped me of that. And it was like I had people around me that were like pregnant and they wasn't happy about their pregnancy. And I'm just like, well, God, like, why do they get to go through having a healthy pregnancy and stuff like that, but you stripped me of mine when I was so grateful, I was so happy. But I had to understand, like, this was after I went through everything. I had to understand that, he doesn't do anything for no reason. There's a purpose behind everything, literally. But I really started to question God. I stopped praying. I stopped going to church. I started isolating myself from everybody, really, my family. I stopped posting on social media. I really just got really depressed, that it was like I just lost myself. I became somebody I no longer recognized. Every day I was crying. If it wasn't about losing my baby, it was about stuff my boyfriend at the time was doing to me, because he did not make the process any easier, like at all. He did not. But I'm not saying that so y'all could have a vendetta against him, because I forgave him. Sometimes you have to learn to forgive people even without an apology. I don't hate him. I don't harbor no hard feelings against him. Nothing. I did resent him for a long time. Not really a long time. A long time. I did start to resent him in our relationship and after the relationship ended. But as I started to really get into my word and really get to know who Jesus was, it changed my heart to forgiveness. And it changed my heart to thinking like, it changed my mind to thinking like, sometimes you have to forgive people even without an apology, because they're, at the end of the day, holding on to grudges, hurt, resentment, is only affecting you. The person that you're holding on to it against, it's not affecting them at all. They don't even think about it. Because you have to think, like, while it affected you that way, it probably did not affect them that way. To them, it was a normal Thursday, while to you, they just told you something that just shattered your whole world. Yeah, I'm not telling y'all this about my ex so y'all can hate him or anything like that, because I don't hate him. I do talk to him time to time. I'm not saying we talk all the time, because that's not true, but I don't want y'all to hate him. Please don't hate him. Don't harbor no vendetta against him. Don't think he's a bad person because of he didn't know how to navigate through a situation. But he didn't make it easy. And that's just me being honest. The healing process, he didn't make it easy. Yeah, so while dealing with that, on top of depression, on top of grieving, uh my mental health depleted completely. Completely. Like, it was so bad. I had a day where everything was just weighing so heavy on me. Not to mention too, I turned back to drugs. I had started back smoking weed to try to cope. We go we gonna get into that too, because that's part of how I went back to God too. He delivered me from that, literally, y'all. Like, and I'm not joking. He literally delivered me from that. But I started back smoking weed, which did not help. It depleted my mental health even more, because I was trying to use it to cope when it was really making my anxiety even worse. I had a day, it's like everything was just weighing so heavy on me. My ex was being horrible to me that day. Like, horrible to me. I was having a bad day at work. A lot was just weighing on me that day. A lot was weighing on me. And I had decided, like, I want to end my life. I had decided that day I wanted to end my life, because I literally felt hopeless at that point. I felt like there was like no reason for me to even be here. God has turned his back on me. He no longer favors me as one of his own. The man that's claiming to love me has turned his back on me, has literally left me for dead. I didn't have my family. I did not think this video was gonna be this hard. I did not think talking about this was gonna be this hard, but I didn't have my family. Like, I literally had no one. Well, that's what the enemy was making me believe. I had no one. So that day, January 29th, this January 29th, 2026, I had decided I'm going to end my life. I got off work. I drove to a Dollar General and I bought the pills. I drove to a Dollar General and I basically bought the stuff to do it. I'm not going to let y'all know what I bought because I will not. Suicide is not the answer, and I will not aid to anyone committing suicide or anyone thinking about it. I will not aid to it. I will not give you ideas. Suicide is not the answer. It is not an easy way out. All it does is cause more pain. While you may feel like you're at peace, because of what you did, you really left a lot of hurt behind. So, I bought the stuff to do it. And I can remember coming back to my room. And sitting. I set the bag on my countertop. And I remember going to get a glass cup from the kitchen. And I started taking the pills out one by one, putting them in the cup. Because I was just going to, I just was going to drink it. And take it all like that. I set the cup down. Then I sat on the edge of my bed just to reflect for a little minute before I did it. And to try to get my affairs in order, I guess you could say. When I say affairs, leave a note behind. To try to figure out how I'm going to get somebody to get my dog out of the room because I didn't want him to go hungry or starve while I was in here dead and nobody knew. So I was trying to figure out how can I, do all that. And I was crying, but I felt so numb. It was like, I know I was crying, but I couldn't feel my tears falling. I felt so numb. And I can remember standing up and just breaking down to my knees on my floor in fetal position, crying, wailing God, help me, please. I just started calling out to him God, please help me. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to turn to. I don't know. Help me, please. Just wailing, y'all. And it was just a moment. I just was I really seen how broken I was. That moment showed me how broken I truly was. After doing that, after holding my stomach, facing my knees, rocking, crying, calling out to God, please help me. I did that for, it felt like hours, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't on the floor that long. I'm pretty sure I was not on the floor that long, but it was a moment where I just felt peace come over me. After calling out to God a couple times, I just felt peace come over me. And it was just something spoke to me it's not worth it. You're meant for something bigger. It's not your time. I'm laughing, but I'm so serious. It was Jesus was literally telling me this in my ear, it's not your time, my child. You have more in store for you. And it's even though I was going through so much, I still had so much good stuff going on. I got a good paying job. I was in school. I'm still in school, but I'm talking in that moment. I was in school doing really good in school at that. Good paying job, getting ready to move to another state permanently. Like it was still so much good going on in my life, but it was just like I was so blinded by the grief and the depression and the heartbreak that I was not looking at the bigger picture, basically. So as I said, it was like a sense of peace came over me. And I could remember laying there on the floor. I can remember laying there on the floor and I was just still crying. But I could breathe again. I was able to breathe. The cry didn't feel as heavy anymore. The cry felt like I was letting some things go. And when I got up off that floor, I had told myself, I can't go back to who I used to be. I've exalted all my options, but truly, the times I was at my happiest, I was getting to know God. And it's like every time I took God out of it, it went bad. So from that day forward, I decided I'm going to get better. I'm going to do whatever I need to take to get better. So I signed up for therapy. Signed up for therapy, met the best therapist ever on the first try. Shout out to my therapist. Y'all, I love her so much. I love her so much. If she ever watched this podcast, I owe so much gratitude and thanks to her because it's like I said all the time, if y'all would have seen me a month and a half ago compared to where I am now, you wouldn't believe redemption is possible. You wouldn't have believed it because it's like where I was, God is so good. God is so good. And I say all the time, like just thinking about all that I went through, it makes me cry every time because God is so good. He literally delivered me from it. So I took the first step of getting therapy. Talking about it made it easier. I still was dealing with my relationship stuff. But even then, I started praying to God, like, God, if this relationship is not for me, let your will be done. Show me. Remove it. I started praying. I literally started praying. And even in those times I couldn't pray, y'all. And also, I want to say shout out to Sarah Jake Roberts because she literally became my voice of comfort in those times. Because from that day, I'm not going to say like I automatically picked myself up. I wasn't sad anymore. Like I just did a total 180 that day because I didn't. But it's just like I would just put her on and just lay in the bed crying. And after doing that, like just laying in the bed crying, listening to her voice, it started soothing me. Moments I felt like I was about to break down crying, listening to her sermons. Moments I felt like I was finna break down crying, or like I felt my heart being heavy or anxiety overwhelm me, I would put on her. And I would listen. Like wasn't even watching because I'm I'm facing a totally different way, but it's just like I'm just listening. I'm just listening. And she was literally soothing me. So shout out to her. I started praying to God, If this relationship is not for me, show me. Y'all be careful about those removal prayers, because once you pray it, it ain't no going back. Mm-mm. It ain't no going back. Because when I tell you it went downhill from there, completely downhill from there, like downhill. And the day that made me like really give up on my relationship and like really decide that I want to let him go, it was a day we were on the phone and he weaponized my grief against me. He said something to me that he knew would trigger me. And that day I was just like, wow, I have to get away from this man because I'm not going to get better. I'm not. And I remember it vividly. It was a Sunday. This was after we broke up. This is actually a Sunday after Valentine's Day. We were broken up by then. But we were still talking. We were still very much FaceTiming. He was still very much calling me and stuff like that. And I was still very much answering. But this was a Sunday. He was supposed to come over. And I was having a bad day. So I told him, like, you don't have to worry about coming over. This man did not care to check on me, to know why, like, I feel and stuff like that. And I can remember being on the phone and like just going at it, and it sent me into a panic attack. I literally had to go to the emergency room. And get medication because I was having a panic attack from stuff this man was saying to me. Stuff he was saying to purposely trigger me, because he was saying stuff that I told him. Triggered me. So that's how I know he was doing it on purpose. And he may not have been intentionally doing it, but that was the enemy working through him. So that day I decided I'm over it. I had to go to the emergency room to get medication to calm myself down. Now, mind you, I already was like, my anxiety was so bad. I already was suffering with anxiety really, really bad after my pregnancy, like after I lost the baby. And that day I decided I didn't want to really deal with him anymore. I didn't really want anything to do with him, because you're purposely triggering me. And you may not know that you're doing that, because it's the enemy. It's Satan working through you, trying to discourage me. Because like I said, I had started listening to sermons. Like, I started changing what I was absorbing, because I was really trying to make myself better. But it was just that one thing that was still hanging on and still triggering me, still affecting me. So that day I decided, like, I'm done. I don't care to try to make it work. I don't care to talk to him. I just don't care anymore. I need to focus on myself. I need to get myself better. I need to heal. I need to worry about me, because this man is not worried about me. He's not. The emergency room gave me medication. Then I followed up with my doctor to get on an antidepressant and medication for my anxiety and my OCD, because all of it work hand in hand. As the podcast go on, there will be more episodes about it and stuff like that, but all of it work hand in hand. But I just knew, like, I needed to be back on medication to get better. So I got back on medication, and the medicine started working. Medicine mixed with the therapy, it started working. I started back reading more. I started changing what I was listening to, what I was watching, I started changing all of that. I decided that day that Nikosha needed to start putting Nikosha first, because Nikosha gives, and Nikosha is surrounded around takers with no one giving back. So I had to put me first. I had to let him go, like completely. I had to tell him, I had to let him go. I started reading my Bible, started getting in my word. I started reading more. I'm a reader. I'm a reader. I love to read. I'm not really a big fiction reader though. Mind you, don't get me wrong, I do love a couple fiction books here and there, but I'm not no big fiction reader. I mainly like to read like self-help books, realistic stuff. I started reading more, and I started separating myself from stuff that was triggering me, and stuff that was disrespecting my boundaries, stuff and people that were disrespecting my boundaries. I started distancing myself from that. Um, I started surrounding myself with like-minded people. I went back to church. I cut my hair. I cut my hair. Let me rewind back. Let me wind back. So as I started like my medication, my therapy, reading my word, really getting alone time with God and really focusing on myself, I woke up one morning and I was like, you know what? I'm going to cut my hair today. And I made a video about this on my TikTok, but I did it because I was feeling convicted because I idolized my hair a lot. And then there was something too, I feel like my ex really liked about me and idolized about me. So I woke up one morning and I decided to cut my hair. And it was like when I cut my hair, I changed into a whole different person. Like I'm not even joking when I say it. Like I changed into a whole different person when I cut my hair. I cut my hair, I got rid of it. I went bald. I went bald and I dyed it the color that I wanted. It was blonde. I put some hearts on the side. If you follow me on Instagram and TikTok, you seen it before I did this. I started getting out socializing with people, young Christians like myself. I started changing what I watched on social media. I really did a 180. I did a 180. God delivered me from smoking weed because it was like this actually happened the week before Valentine's. I stopped smoking weed the weekend before Valentine's. I remember Sunday so vivid. I had stopped smoking weed because I was just like, it's not helping. And my therapist had also told me like it wasn't helping. So I stopped smoking weed, and literally y'all, let me tell y'all how fast the enemy, I'm getting teary eyed because I'm getting so joyful how good God is, like, and how his timing is perfect. His timing is so perfect. But literally y'all, when I stopped smoking weed, I was probably a week into being clean. Hadn't touched the edible, hadn't touched the nothing, was not thinking about weed at all. I stopped smoking. Literally, the hotel that my job has me housed in told my boss that, it was a strong smell of marijuana coming from my room. But mind y'all, I had stopped smoking by then. I was not smoking anymore. I had stopped smoking by then. But they was like a strong smell of marijuana was coming from my room. And he texted me. He was like, they're saying a strong smell of marijuana is coming from your room. But I'm like, let me debunk that now because I no longer smoke. Even though I had been a week clean, I don't smoke no more. So that's not me. And then I just walked in from class. So how is that me? But it's so crazy because if I would have continued to smoke, not listen to God when he told me to stop, when I was praying for him to deliver me from it, and he told me to stop, when he did, if I would have been disobedient and kept going just to cope, because that's all I was using it for, to cope, to suppress my emotions, bad idea. Bad idea at the end of the day. If I wouldn't have been obedient and I wouldn't have listened to him when he told me to stop, I could have lost my job. I could have lost my job easily. They could have drug tested me and I would have lost my job. And I would have had to go back to Louisiana. Start over from square one. God is so good. Like, God is so good. And I'm going to say it. You're going to hear me say it 1,000 times in these podcasts because He is. He is. And really, when that situation happened, that really made me like, I need to buckle down and be obedient to Him. Because that could have went really bad. I could have lost my job. My job, oh my God, I would have lost my job. That definitely would have been my 13th reason. Like, that would have been my 13th reason. It would have been over with. It would have been no more Nikosha because I would have decided to end my life that night. And I'm just being real. I'm just being honest. Um, that situation happened, but I wasn't smoking anymore when it happened. So I kind of like just cleared it up like that wasn't me or whatever, which it probably was me. Probably was. They probably was complaining at the times when I was smoking. But when I got word of it, I was no longer smoking. So it wasn't me at that time. And that day forward, I just really decided to start being obedient to Him. I went back to church because isolation is never good, y'all. Like, isolating yourself is never good, and that's what the enemy wants you to do because he wants you to believe that no one loves you, that you're alone, that you have nobody. He wants you to believe that. That's how he creeps in with getting you to believe that, like, nobody loves you. Girl, if you die today, nobody gonna care. Like, really, those were thoughts that were going through my head. And thank God for delivering me from those thoughts. But that's what the enemy wants. He wants you to believe like that you're alone, nobody loves me, that nobody loves you, that nobody cares, stuff like that. I went back to church. I found this youth group. They're called The Mix. They do things, on Saturdays and for like young Christians. It's basically an alternative to not being the bars and the clubs. From that day forward, I decided to like really start being obedient to God and really following His word and buckling myself down. I took a pledge to Him that the next man I open myself up to intimately in that way will be my husband. And I will not, because y'all, I used to have this bad habit too of getting over guys by getting under another guy. And I said that I wasn't doing that anymore. I wasn't doing that anymore because it doesn't help. It does not help. And that's basically how I came back to God. Grief and depression and heartbreak brought me back to Him. And it honestly was the best decision of my life. Best decision of my life. For a long time, I felt like I was just surviving. I was just going through life, unsure of who I am, unsure of what I want to do, just unsure of everything. Like, just going through life, doing the bare minimum I can, to keep my head above water, working a job and stuff. Bare minimum, doing the bare minimum. But it's like when I really, really buckled down and decided to start following Christ, I started feeling this fullness. Like, I really started feeling this full. Like, I can't explain it. I cannot explain it. I really just, if you know, you know. But it was like a void in my heart was filled. A void that is like I was trying to fill with otherworldly, sinly things was finally filled, and it felt pure and it felt good. It didn't feel like it comes with after effects or anything like bad after effects or anything like that. I just started feeling whole. That's the best sentence. I started feeling whole again. I started feeling whole. Yeah, that's the best way I could explain it. Like I really started feeling whole again. I started feeling genuinely happy, not just happy for the moment and unfulfilled. So yeah, that's how I came back to Christ, and it was the best decision I made. It was the best decision of my life, y'all. That's like that's as plain and as real as I could put it. Like, it literally was the best decision of my life. Yeah, that's basically how I returned back to Jesus. And if I could say one thing to anybody, I really hope this reached the right person. If I could say one thing, I know it may seem hard right now, and I know it may seem like know it may seem hopeless, like nothing is working and you just feel lost, like you don't know who to turn to, you don't know where to go. Go to God. Turn to God. It gets better. It gets a lot better. I'm literally living proof. Like, being able to sit here right now in front of y'all, smiling, laughing, sharing my story, I'm literally proof that it gets better, because a month and a half ago, I wanted to kill myself. I wanted to end it, and I was dead set on ending it. I was over life. It gets better. All you have to do, surrender yourself to Him. Surrender everything. Surrender everything. Literally. God fixed the brokenhearted. Hold on, let me find the Bible verse for y'all, because I was hanging on to this Bible verse too during my healing process. Psalms 147 chapter 147 verse 3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. And Psalms 34 verse 18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Those are two Bible verses I hung on to that during my process of healing, that just reassured me, like, your heart is broken right now. You may feel hopeless, but God has not left you. He has not left you alone. Surrender. Just surrender yourself to Him. Just try it. If you want to do a little trial period, a little 30-day trial period, just surrender yourself. And I promise you, after them 30 days, you're not going to want to go back. And when I say surrender, I mean like really surrender everything. Shed your old self completely. You're going to grieve your old self. You are. And you're going to have moments where you feel like you want to convert back to it, but don't. Stay obedient. I had moments where I was like, you know what? This ain't worth it. Let me go get some weed. Weed help. It doesn't. It does not. The best drug you could take is Jesus. Ooh, the best drug you could take is Jesus. He's the endless drug. Always supply. Endless supply. Endless. And I tell you. Moving on to the next section. I said I'm going to do a Q&A session in my podcast. So if you have a question, want advice, anything, Q&A stands for question and advice, and I'm going to answer. You want advice on anything, you have a question about anything, my social medias, divinelyko on all platforms. Feel free to DM me. Feel free to send your questions there, and they will be answered on the podcast. So let's see. What's something you said no to recently, and how did it feel? Something I've said no to recently, and how did it feel? I've been saying no a lot, y'all. I've been saying no a lot lately. I've been standing very firm on my boundaries, and it's like I'm the villain now. But something I've said something I've said no to recently, and how did it feel? Okay, I had someone basically wanted me to convert back to my old ways of going out getting drunk, and being able to tell them no. It felt really good because I've struggled with telling people no. I've my whole life, and therapy therapy works. I suggest everybody getting therapy. Everybody getting therapy. Therapy has been teaching me to stand firm on my boundaries, no matter if it makes you the villain in somebody else's story. It is what it is. But you know who's not going to villainize you? God. God. But standing firm on my boundaries, and being able to tell people like, I can't do that. That goes against my God. That goes against my faith. That's no longer me, and I'm no longer that person. Has been feeling really good. So I guess you could say that's something I've been saying no to recently. Next question. What moment made everything click for you? A moment that really made everything click for me. This is speaking because I've said a couple moments that aided to my going back to Christ, but something that really made me everything click to me, that I'm on the right path of doing what He wants me to do, which is spreading the gospel. Because as you know, on my TikTok and Instagram, I have been talking a lot about God, and I have been talking a lot about like my experiences and keeping him in it. But a moment that really made everything click for me and made me feel like it's actually two moments, and it's from two people. I was on FaceTime with my best friend. Shout out to my best friend Raven, love you. I was on FaceTime with my best friend, and she said out her mouth like she thinks my faith is rubbing off on her because she been wanting to listen to gospel music lately. She been, really interested in following God and stuff like that. That was one. And then two, I had a coworker that she followed me on TikTok. She found my TikTok and she followed me on TikTok. And I remember when we was at work, I was walking to my bus, and she like literally chased me down. She like, oh my God, I fell down a rabbit hole of your videos. Like, they are so inspirational. And I'm not even a religious person. And I'm like, it really just made me click. Like, I'm stuttering. Sorry. It made me proud. It made my soul smile because it made me feel like I'm even reaching the unbelievers now. And I'm not saying I'm making them turn their faith around, but think about it. Most of my content is faith based. I talk about God a lot. I keep God in it a lot. And for she told me she's not really a religious person, and for to still find my videos inspirational, it made me feel like I'm even reaching the non-believers now. So there was two moments that clicked for me and made me feel like I'm really on my path of doing the right thing. And I really feel like God made it for me to spread the gospel. Whether it's through my social media, whether it's in real life, I feel like that's what He wants me to do. And my testimony, this is just surface level testimony. This is just recently what made me run back to God. But my whole life is a testimony. My whole life. Last question. Or I might do two more. No, this last question. What do you want to be remembered for? I want to be remembered for being kind, for being a genuine person. Like, I don't want no one to have like no horror story about me. I always want to be remembered as a person that was genuine. From the time you meet me to the time our experience, or to the time we depart. I want to be remembered as a genuinely kind person, a genuinely caring person to everybody. Like, even to those that hate my guts, which I hope is not a lot of people. It shouldn't be. I hope it's not a lot. But I do have a past. So, but I just really want to be remembered as a genuine person. Like she was just, like when people talk about me, I just want to be like, oh my God, she was just so genuine, so nice, so good to people. That's what I want to be remembered as. Not even gonna lie. And I know that might sound like, girl, don't nobody care about that. I do. I care about that. I care about, I'm not going to say I care about what people think about me, but I care about how I present myself to people. And I always want to be good to people. Like even to people that are mean to me, people that are hateful, I always want them to say like, I always want them to be able to say like, oh, even though I treated her like this, she still was very genuine. She still was very nice. Like I can't picture a time she was mean to me back. That's something I want to be remembered as. So we have reached the end of the podcast, y'all. We have reached the end. Like I said, as this podcast grows, it's going to be better. We're not going to talk about my setting right now. Also, I've learned to be more private too, and like celebrate my wins in private and my accomplishments in private. I'm learning that. So I have a lot in store for me. I have a lot of positive things going on in my life right now. Some stuff some stuff I can't speak on, some stuff I don't want to speak on right now, but I just know like where I was a month and a half ago is definitely a 180 to the woman that is sitting in front of y'all today and able to talk to y'all. And I owe it all to God. And you may get tired of me mentioning him, stuff like that. I don't care. I'm going to sing it from the highest mountaintops because the way his mercy, ooh, I could get into it, but I'm not because it's the end of the podcast. We got more episodes. So, but I just want to say what God's mercy can do when you fully and truly surrender everything to him is amazing. It is. It's amazing and it's life changing. And like I said, if I hope this video reached the right person. I hope this podcast reached the right people. If you're listening on Apple, on Spotify, or if you're watching right here on YouTube, I really hope it tugged on your heartstrings a bit or inspired you a bit to start your walk, start your journey, or anything like that. I said it on my Instagram, not my Instagram. I said it on my TikTok. Like I don't want y'all to think like I'm setting up a how to be a perfect Christian guide. I'm not, because I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still, dealing with worldly things and combating it and stuff like that. I'm still a human. I'm still flesh. So I'm still learning. I never want this to be a how to be a perfect Christian because no Christian is perfect. No Christian is perfect. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care how holy and sanctified and holy endowed they are. No Christian is perfect. No Christian is perfect. But I want this platform to be a safe space for us young Christians that are still learning and that are still messing up along the way and repenting and finding our way back to him. I want this to be a safe space for us, all of us, not even just young, because I know it's some older folks that still trip up. I want this to be a safe space. I want this to be the realistic following, the realness of following God. So yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. Follow all my social medias, divinelyko, DIVINELY Co. Yeah, my Facebook is Nikosha Sholes if you want to follow me on Facebook. And yeah, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. I was so nervous, but clearly God flowed something through me, and I hope this reached the right person. I'm gonna just say that I really hope this reached the right person. I hope you get the right message from this video, and it's only up from here. We're only growing from here, and that's just a plain way to put it. So yeah, thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you stayed this long and really listened and or watched on YouTube, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Is just thank you. I love you. God loves you. And yeah, stay tuned on the journey. Bye, y'all.